So in this particular session, we'll focus on the thing that many people ask this question: if everything comes from God, then where does evil come from? They call it the problem of evil. It's a very, very, very powerful paradigm which has plagued. Probably it's a paradox. Sorry, which has plagued spirituality for a long time, for centuries. Even Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya and Shankaracharya has also addressed this in his Brahma Sutra commentaries. How the problem of evil, like how do you say that there is suffering in this material world? If Krishna is all great, then how can there be suffering in this material world? We have actually covered this in our previous discussion. Actually, we have already covered this whole thing about the anger of the Supreme Lord and everything. That is already covered. But there are some tertiary or peripheral issues which are still remaining. One of the issues is, if everything comes from God, where does evil come from? Okay, so here we can understand. So basically, if we say that everything comes from God, but evil can never come from God, then they will say that, oh, God is incapable of doing that, right? So that means God is incapable of being evil. So he is incapable of accommodating the principle of evil. Oh, God is not that powerful. If you say, yes, everything comes from God, he's evil. Oh, he's evil? Really? So that is a kind of paradox. So we have to understand what is evil for that. So what we say is that, yes, everything comes from God, even evil comes from God. But when the evil is there in God, that becomes the highest good. That is the highest good, when evil exists in God. For example, let's take the example of Krishna. Like he's a thief. In the material world, some of the qualities of evil is like stealing is evil in the material world, right? So he's a thief. So if you say when this principle of being a thief exists in Krishna, it gives pleasure to everybody. There's no suffering at all. Everybody's happy. So although apparently sometimes they look like they're suffering, but they're absolutely happy by Krishna being a thief. So although when the same quality is found in the material world, it becomes dual quality, like evil and good happens here. Certain qualities appear good and certain qualities appear evil. There's duality, dvandva. But in the spiritual world, when these qualities exist in Krishna, in the absolute Brahman, Supreme Personality of Godhead, then these qualities lose their ability of becoming good or evil. Everything is good there. So being a thief is the greatest good in the spiritual world, whereas in the material world is evil. So in the spiritual world, for example, the Lord dancing with the gopis or Parakhya Ras is supposed to be extremely greatest form of love in the spiritual world. In the material world, the Parakhya Ras, when found in a human being, when he tries to do that, it's the greatest evil, basically. The horrors in the spiritual world. For example, Krishna, there are different rasas, like ghastliness in the spiritual world. If you're Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we can clearly understand those different rasas, and there is a huge understanding of those rasas. So when Krishna is caught by Kaliya, Mother Yashoda and all the rest experience ghastliness. So he has a tendency of putting people into a ghastly rasa. But that ghastly rasa is the greatest form of ecstasy in the spiritual world, ghastliness. But that ghastliness, when the material world, when a soul tries to experience that ghastliness, we all have the hunger for ghastliness, actually. That's why we see horror movies, we pay money. Everybody, even the good people, pay money and they want to see horror movies. They want to see all those actions and violence and everything. Everybody wants to see. Why they want to see? Because that hunger for all these rasas is there. With spiritual world, Krishna is fighting with the demons and is fighting and is experiencing violence, is doing everything, and that rasa is completely satisfied in the spiritual world. So Krishna puts people into horror sometimes by getting caught by Kaliya and stuff like that, Tranavrita, so many things. So and the ghastliness is there. So in that same situation in the material world, when we want to experience in the mode of ignorance, when we are really frustrated and all the other rasas are finished, and then we go into the more deeper rasas, and when the soul wants to go and experience the deeper perversions of rasas, like for example, he's already experienced motherly rasa and all the other secondary rasas are gone, and now he's not satisfied and there is no pleasure, then he will go into some of the most dangerous and spiritual reflections, ghastliness, which is a form of spiritual love, or vipralamba, which is the highest form of spiritual love. Here it is death. Actually, vipralamba is like separation from the loved ones. So basically, he wants to, so Mrigari, what he does, he wants to put the animal into a great pain, and when the animal is writhing in pain and suffering in pain, the ghastliness that Mrigari will experience, the soul of Mrigari will experience that ghastliness by looking at the animal suffering in pain, and that he gives him horror rasa, or the ghastliness rasa. So basically, it's the same ghastliness is experienced when Krishna is caught by Kaliya, and Mother Yashoda is experienced at the same horror. So the hunger for horror is there in every soul. But in the material world, he wants to do that in a very perverted way, and he wants to experience that by putting others in, by killing others, torturing others, going into the mode of ignorance and doing the most horrible activities in the world. Similarly, in the spiritual world, everybody loves Krishna. They want to love him. They want to kiss him. They say when I want to love you so much that I want to eat you. So in the spiritual world, everybody wants to eat Krishna also. So Krishna comes as prasad in the spiritual world. So everybody eats Krishna. So when they eat Krishna, they're eating a person, Krishna. The prasad is not different from Krishna. So they're eating a person because they love Krishna so much. So the facility is provided to eat also Krishna. So, but in the material world, that same hunger is there to eat a person, but that comes as meat eating. So there is everything. If you say the tendency to do prajalpa, it comes from spiritual rasa, because gopis are always doing prajalpa about Krishna, speaking ill about others behind their back. All of this, right from the most ghastliest rasa like serial killing and everything, illicit sexual activity, suppression in the form of death. Every evil that is found in the material world is found in the spiritual world, but it is found as the greatest form of ecstasy in the spiritual world. That ecstasy cannot be compared. The highest in the spiritual world becomes the lowest in the material world. So the duality is just a material function. It is not existing in the spiritual world. The spiritual world, such kind of dualities don't exist, such as good and bad, evil and everything. So evil, evil within gold, spiritual. Okay, fine. So all this in stealing, regari, ghastliness. Another question that the atheists pose to the people is, how can God create souls who have a capacity to do evil? Like, for example, you can see Mrigari in the material world, he wants to kill somebody. Okay, so he says God is incomplete because he's able to produce, he's producing certain things, he's producing certain people and his creations, and these creations, these people are doing bad things. They are capable of doing evil. So that means God's creation is not perfect. So if I give him an argument, no, that God doesn't create a soul which can do evil, he's creating all good souls, then you say, oh, then God is incapable of creating such a soul who can create evil. Always paradoxical understanding is there. So then they will ask you, how does God create a soul who can do evil? So from that point of view, we can understand this point. So it's something like this. So we can understand this from some of the most esoteric part of the scriptures. So in the spiritual world, it's a realm of rasa. Okay. So they will say, why didn't God stop somebody from falling down to the material world? So all these so many different questions which have no much significance, they'll keep on asking these questions again and again. If God is all-knowing, why didn't he stop souls from coming to the material world and stuff like that? So the whole idea is understanding that you have to understand that the all-knowing, all-omnipotent, everything, God is everything. Yeah, he can do everything. But when he is covered by his Yogamaya potency in the spiritual world, he is completely under the Yogamaya potency. He's doing rasa. He's exchanging rasa with his souls. So when he is doing rasa, like for example, when he exchanges rasa with Mother Yashoda, he becomes angry and he does so many things. So in the rasic world of spiritual world, you cannot apply logic or you cannot apply your brain there. So how does conflict arise there? What kind of conflict arises? Why does that conflict lead to the soul leaving the spiritual world and coming to the material world? All this is actually basically cannot be thought about, because Srila Prabhupada said, just like see Jai Vijay. How does Jai Vijay fall? That's how we fell. So there were so many reasons. Jai Vijay had a problem with Lakshmi Devi and so many things, and then they fell down. But then you may say, actually that was never a fall down. Actually they never fell down. That was just like for Krishna's pleasure they came to material. Yes. So Arjuna also never fell down Bhagavad Gita, but we always use Arjuna's example to understand how one person can be in illusion. Arjuna could never be in illusion. He is a Nitya Siddha Mahabhagavat. How can he be in illusion? Draupadi need not take any time shelter of Krishna. Krishna is running for Draupadi, but she does say shelter and she shows us how to do devotion. So in the same way, when this from the whole pastime, Prabhupada says we can understand how these things can happen. So there is a conflict in the rasic world, in the spiritual world, and that conflict goes beyond the things like, for example, if you can see, Radharani also shows this. Of course, she is the pleasure potency herself, but she shows how things can happen. Like right in the middle of Ras Leela, she is loving Krishna like anything, and suddenly she gets this key, Krishna, she breaks that line somewhere and she tells Krishna, now you serve me and I want to climb on your shoulder. At that point, Krishna immediately leaves her and goes away. and there is a break in the lila and everything happens and then she's crying basically. So the point is, of course, these are all impossible from the pure for a Ladini Shakti to do all these things, but she's showing by these pastimes, although those pastimes are totally spiritual, she's showing that how right in the middle of Ras Leela, right in the middle of everything, things can happen and things can go into thing can get ugly, as they call it, and then that thing can no longer be accommodated in the spiritual world and things have to be played out in the material world. And so that's how then the material world is. And Prabhupada says the soul decides somehow or the other, because soul is also has got that independence, because Krishna is independent, he's mischievous, he's everything. Soul is also mischievous, soul is also independent, soul is also so many things. And because soul is minute, so soul also, while doing his rasa, sometimes he just breaks the point and he does something which is rasa bhasik in nature, in the sense, though it's not exactly rasa bhasik, it's like a very bad kind of rasa bhasik. So the whole material world is you can compare it to a sort of a rasa bhas, where where the particular secondary rasa is not supposed to be, and that secondary rasa is present in the primary rasa, which completely takes it's like mixing salt in cake. That destroys everything. So it has to be in paneer, not in cake. So when this gets out of control, that enjoyment cannot be. It doesn't give pleasure. Krishna gives pleasure to Krishna. And Radharani says, like, when the gopi is fighting with Krishna, it's great pleasure to Krishna. But if certain times when the gopi is still chastising him, still getting angry with him, still becoming in a very kind of pratikula bhakti, not anukula bhakti, and then Krishna is hurt by that and still she is continuing, then I say, then I will, I wish that a thunderbolt falls on the gopi's head. So at that point in the Rasik world, what was the cause for the whole thing to happen? That is beyond our conceivable. We know that we'll remember that when we go back. So that is the basic thing. So if you say the whole and then you see all this also, like, you see talk about, when you look at the example is given something like this, when Sita was with Ram. Of course, these are all spiritual things, but they are showing us a material example. When Sita was with Ram, the three deers of the spiritual world, we can understand how the things happen. Like, for example, Sita was with Ram, and Anusuya, she meets Anusuya before that, and Anusuya tells that never feel that anything is more attractive than Lord Ram. Don't ever feel in your life that something is more attractive than Lord Ram. And she says, no man can be more attractive than Lord Ram. There is no competition. I only love Lord Ram. So that just like a soul thinks, I can only love Krishna. There is no chance of anybody else being more attractive than Krishna. Then suddenly that deer comes and she thinks deer is not a competitor for Lord Ram. Of course, I want Lord Ram also. I want the deer also. What's the big deal in that? It's not a problem. So then she starts getting attracted to the deer, and to the extent that she is ready to get separated from Lord Ram also for that deer. She says that, Ram, please go. Leave me. No problem. I am ready to get separation from you, my dear Lord. Please go and get me the deer. Then Lord says, why do you want me to get separated? Then the deer is no, and the spiritual master also is telling, see, Lakshmana, why, what is that in the deer? No, I want that deer. I just want the deer. So now she's overextending that problem. In the spiritual world, Krishna, he is ready to do every single bidding of the soul, and everything is there. But certain points when the bidding goes out of control, and that's what happens. And then she says, you please go. And then she separates. Knowingly she separates from Lord Ram just for the deer, so that they can enjoy the deer later on together. So she didn't really want to get separated from Lord Ram, but the deer kind of she got attracted to the deer, and then she kind of became a little rude to Lord Ram, a little rude to Lord Lakshman also. And she started offending at that point. And they said that, I want the deer, just let him go. Then when he got affected, then she got even more, Lakshman, you also go, immediately you also go. So then everything, and it became offensive in one side. And then finally she became a deer. How did she become a deer? She was captured by Ravana and put in Ashoka Vatika. And she was crying just like a deer was crying. That's how it's explained. She's crying like a deer. So she got attracted to deer and she became a deer. So the next example of a deer is Bharat Maharaj ka deer. So in that Bharat Maharaj ka deer, he of course never ever thought that his love for Krishna can be replaced by anything in this world. So his whole idea was that if a lady comes or if a girl comes, I will definitely not be attracted. He left the kingdom, left everything. But little did he know that an innocuous thing like a deer would be the cause of all this problem. So he never thought about it. He thought deer is so attractive. So I will do devotion, but I'll do some little attraction also. So at some point he started, getting attracted to deer and started doing, and then he kind of offended the devotional service. Like, okay, devotional service is secondary, deer is primary. So it's much better. Like I'll not leave the deer. Devotion I can do later also, things like that. So then it became offensive when you start undermining Krishna and you think that Krishna is okay. You take him for granted, Krishna, sometimes in the spiritual world. Don't know how this happens. This happens right in the middle of the rasic thing also. So then you undermine Krishna and you say, Krishna, fine, I will first think about the deer. So then Krishna is immediately taken to the next level. He's given a level lower than a deer. Imagine Krishna, the entire bhakti of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is given a position lower than a deer. And you might think, Arey Bapre, this is the position of Krishna that devotee has given him. That a deer is more important to me than Krishna is important. So at that point, that happened actually. So he became fascinated by the devotee, infatuated by the deer. And then that led to a fall down kind of a situation for Bharat Maharaj, although it was not really a fall down. So third example given is Maya Mrigam, the Rajya Lakshmi verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is mentioned that Lord Chaitanya is running after the deer. So here also he became the deer, He was after the deer, he became the deer. The third example is given of the spirit soul, who himself is known as Maya Mrigam, the deer. And Lord Chaitanya has come to reclaim the Maya Mrigam, the deer, and take the Maya Mrigam back to the spiritual world. So here is the indication that we also, somehow or other, something we undermined Krishna, we offended Krishna because we thought something is more important than Krishna and we put him in our service. I feel that, I am important, something happened and we undermined him and we got attracted to the glamour of the material, some kind of glamour of the material world, and we undermined him and he got hurt at that point of time. And then this whole problematic situation happened, a huge problematic creation happened, there is a quarrel happened, whatever happened, and then the situation happened. So we became the Maya Mrigam, and Lord Chaitanya has now come to take us back, and he has also come on the bidding of Sita. He has come on the bidding of Radharani, who is Sita herself, and this time Sita is telling, go and get the deer. It's by Radharani's mood that Lord Chaitanya is running after us. Lord Krishna is running after us as Lord Chaitanya. So this time, at least, we are not the cause of separation of Sita and Ram. And we are actually somehow or other facilitating both Sita and Ram to come together in the form of Lord Chaitanya, and he is running after the deer. And this time the deer is not chanting Hare Krishna, Hey Ram to separate Radha and Krishna, but this time we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare, with the whole intention of pleasing the united Sita Ram, the united Radha Krishna in one body, and that is Lord Chaitanya. So we want to please him and not separate Sita and Ram, and that is what the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is basically. So somehow or the other we were the dear associates of the Lord, and now we have become the deer Maya Mrigam.